Betrayal has a way of creeping up on you when you least expect it. The day I unearthed the truth about Clara, my wife of 14 years, was supposed to be an ordinary Wednesday. I was at my office, finalizing the monthly reports, when a series of strange notifications started popping up on my phone. It was a GPS alert I had set up months ago on Clara's vehicle, a measure she had agreed to, back when we valued transparency. Her car is nowhere near work, I think, frowning. My curiosity morphs into concern, but I brush it off. Maybe she's running errands. Maybe she took a detour. But when an unfamiliar address keeps flashing, my gut tells me something is off. Instead of waiting to find out, I grab my keys and drive straight there. The address leads me to a quiet suburban neighborhood. Clara's car is parked in the driveway of a house that isn't familiar. Anxiety gnaws at my mind, but I park down the street, my hands clenched on the steering wheel, my breath coming out in short bursts. It's then that I see her. Through a small gap in the curtains, Clara is there, laughing, with another man. My whole world shatters in an instant. The laughter I see isn't just her enjoying some innocent conversation. It's a laugh that belongs to someone else now. My hands shake as I process the scene. Rage starts simmering beneath the surface, but I swallow it back. There is no time for anger yet. I need a plan, one that ensures I don't lose everything. The first thing I do is grab my phone, recording a short clip of Clara's betrayal from the safe confines of my car. Proof. Cold, hard evidence. I knew she had no idea I was there, just a silent witness to my own heartbreak. My heart pounds, adrenaline mixing with the bitter taste of disbelief. How did we end up here? I drive away quietly, though my insides are a storm. It's time to make decisions, but first, I need to be smart. I won't let emotions drive me into making impulsive mistakes. I need a plan that turns this pain into something useful, something that leaves her regretting ever thinking she could play me. Back at home, the silence feels deafening. I stand in the kitchen, gripping the edge of the granite counter, trying to steady my breath. I replay the laughter I saw in my mind, the way Clara looked at that man, so carefree. My jaw clenches as anger pulses through me, but I refuse to let it consume me. Think, Daniel, think. My own voice echoes in the empty house. I can't afford to be rash. Clara may have ripped out my heart, but she's not going to take my life along with it. After all, this house, our business investments, everything we built over 14 years, it's all entangled in a legal web I need to carefully navigate. My thoughts drift to our daughters, Emily and Sophie. 13 and 11. They are my world. The idea of losing time with them is unbearable, and I know that if Clara gets the upper hand, she'll use the kids as leverage. I need to protect them, and myself. With my laptop in front of me, I start researching my options. Divorce lawyers, asset protection strategies, and anything else that might give me a leg up. The more I dig, the clearer it becomes. If I want to come out of this intact, I'll need to be one step ahead of Clara at every turn. That means securing financial assets and preparing for the legal battle that seems inevitable. But I know Clara. She's smart and manipulative, and she won't make this easy. If I confront her too soon, she'll be ready to play the victim, painting herself as a saint in front of our daughters. No, I need to build my case in silence, gathering every piece of evidence until I have a rock-solid strategy. I make a few calls, starting with my old college friend, Ethan. Ethan's a divorce attorney, and while we haven't spoken in years, I know he's good at what he does. He answers on the second ring. Daniel? Man, long time no speak. Yeah, I reply, my voice steady. Look, Ethan, I need a favor. A big one. By the end of our conversation, I've got a preliminary game plan. Ethan's advice is simple. Document everything, protect your assets, and never let Clara suspect you're onto her. He warns me that emotions will be my greatest enemy in the coming weeks. Keep your head straight, Dan. You'll get through this. I hang up, feeling slightly more in control. Ethan has promised to review any evidence I gather, and I realize it's time to move from hurt to strategy. Clara may think she has the upper hand, but she doesn't know I'm already plotting her downfall. Just as I'm about to shut down my laptop, I hear the front door open. Clara walks in, her face flushed from what she probably assumes was a secret rendezvous. She greets me with a smile, and I force myself to mirror it, my stomach churning at the sight of her. I can't let her know that I know. "Hey," she says, setting her purse on the kitchen island. "How was your day?" I smile, my teeth gritting behind it. "Just another day at the office," I reply, my voice even. But inside, a storm is raging. Clara's oblivious smile twists the knife deeper into my chest, but I keep my composure. I study her movements, every step, every nervous fidget. She's overcompensating, trying too hard to act normal. My instincts scream that she suspects nothing, and for now, that's what I need. "How was your day?" I ask, leaning casually against the counter, as if I haven't just watched her destroy our marriage. She gives a nonchalant shrug, her voice perfectly sweet. "Oh, busy as usual. Meetings, errands, and some shopping." "Shopping. Right." My fingers tighten around the coffee mug I'm holding. "Hope you got something nice," I reply, forcing a smile. I can't let her see the storm in my eyes. "Just some stuff for the girls," she says, breezing past me to the fridge. As she pours herself a glass of wine, I wonder how many lies she's told me over the years and how easily they've rolled off her tongue. My heart clenches, but I stay silent. For the next week, I play the role of a devoted husband, every interaction carefully calculated to keep Clara unsuspecting. Every morning, I help get Emily and Sophie ready for school, sharing pancakes and laughter like nothing has changed. I drive to work, but instead of focusing on projects, I spend my time digging deeper. Ethan connects me with a private investigator, a man named Carter, who specializes in cases just like mine. When we meet in a discreet coffee shop a few days later, Carter lays it out bluntly. "Cheating spouses think they're clever, but they always make mistakes," he says, his eyes sharp and focused. "You've already caught her once, but we need more. We need to build a story that paints her as the guilty party in every way." Carter outlines the steps, monitoring her phone, tracking her movements, collecting evidence of any inappropriate spending tied to her lover. He even suggests subtle methods, like recording conversations and securing access to joint financial accounts. I feel a pang of guilt. I've always respected Clara's privacy, trusted her, and now here I am plotting against the woman I once promised to love forever. But I can't afford to be the fool she thinks I am. If she wants to destroy this family, she'll have to face the consequences. Before I leave, Carter gives me a burner phone, one that can't be traced back to me. "Use this for communication," he says. "Keep everything separate. Trust me." That evening, I return home, finding Clara and the girls in the living room. Emily is showing off a drawing she made in art class, and Sophie is giggling, talking a mile a minute about her science project. My heart softens, and I remind myself why I'm doing this. It's not just about my pride. It's about protecting them. Clara catches my eye, her expression unreadable. "Everything okay?" she asks, her voice gentle. "Yeah," I say, leaning in to kiss Sophie's forehead. "Just tired." I sit down, forcing myself to engage with our daughters, to be present, even as my mind races with plans. Clara watches me, but she doesn't push. Her guilt is buried deep, hidden under layers of lies she thinks I can't see. I smile and laugh with my girls, but behind my eyes, I'm calculating. Clara thinks she's playing me, but she has no idea that I'm already steps ahead. Every piece of evidence, every calculated move, is building toward the moment I pull the rug out from under her. The following week is a masterclass in deception. I become an actor, perfecting the role of the oblivious husband, while secretly orchestrating a plan that could change everything. Every day is a tightrope walk, balancing normalcy with my covert mission to expose Clara for who she truly is. The first piece of Carter's strategy is simple yet invasive. Install monitoring software on Clara's phone. I wait for my opportunity late one night, after she's fallen asleep on the couch. Her phone lies on the coffee table, screen glowing as notifications flash. My pulse races as I make my move. With swift precision, I retrieve the burner phone Carter gave me. A few taps and a downloaded app later, I've set up the tracker. The software is invisible and undetectable, or so Carter assured me, but the risk is enough to make my heart pound. One mistake, and everything unravels. I hear Clara shift in her sleep, and I hold my breath. When she stays still, I quickly put her phone back and sit across the room, pretending to read a book, just in case she wakes up. As my nerves settle, I remind myself this isn't about revenge. It's about survival. By morning, I've already received my first updates from the app. Text messages, call logs, even a GPS location history. Clara's conversations are mundane at first, but I know I need patience. The truth is in there somewhere, waiting to be revealed. My daughters help ground me. Emily asks for my help with her math homework one evening, and as we sit at the dining room table, her pencil tapping against her notebook, I realize how much I cherish these moments. "Dad," she says, her voice curious, "how come you and Mom don't do date nights anymore?" Her question catches me off guard, but I manage a smile. "We're just busy, sweetheart," I reply, my voice steady. "But we'll have more time together soon, I promise." "Okay," she says, but there's a hint of doubt in her eyes. It breaks my heart, knowing she can sense the tension Clara and I have been trying to hide. Later that week, Carter and I meet again to review the gathered evidence. The text between Clara and her business partner, Mark, paint a damning picture. There are subtle flirtations, mentions of their secret meetups, and even a few images that make me sick to my stomach. Still, it's not quite enough to ensure a victory in court. We need something more concrete, something undeniable. Carter leans forward, his eyes serious. "You're doing the right thing, Daniel. The more we collect, the stronger your case will be. Stay patient." Patience. The word mocks me as I sit at my desk that night, sifting through Clara's messages. I feel like a spy, invading her privacy, but I remind myself it's necessary. My phone buzzes, and I see a notification. Another GPS alert. Clara's car has just stopped at a familiar address, one I've seen before. Mark's house. My chest tightens as I pull up the live camera feed I installed outside Mark's place. A little trick Carter suggested. Sure enough, there they are. Clara steps out of the car, her smile bright, as Mark meets her at the door. They embrace, and it's not a friendly hug. My blood boils, but I force myself to stay composed. Acting on impulse will only ruin everything. I save the footage, adding it to my growing collection. My hands tremble, not just with anger, but with the realization that my life as I knew it is over. The woman I thought I'd grow old with is a stranger, and the betrayal cuts deeper with every new piece of evidence. But I can't afford to break down. Not yet. Instead, I tuck away the rage and steel myself for what's to come. Clara is going to learn that I'm not the fool she thinks I am. The next morning dawns bright and deceptively peaceful, but inside, am anything but calm. Clara bustles around the kitchen, packing the girls' lunches and chatting away as if everything is normal. Her smile is effortless, her laughter genuine, and for a moment, I wonder how she manages to be so convincing. It's almost as if the woman I married is still there, beneath layers of lies and deception. I sip my coffee, forcing myself to act as natural as she does. Sophie bounds into the room, her hair a wild mess of curls. "Dad," she calls, "can you braid my hair today? Mom always makes it too tight." Clara laughs and rolls her eyes. "I'll let your father take over then," she says, handing Sophie the hairbrush with a mock bow. I chuckle, setting down my mug. "All right, princess," I say, taking the brush from her. As I work on Sophie's hair, Clara leans against the counter, her phone in hand. I watch her out of the corner of my eye, waiting for some sign that she's hiding something, but she just taps away at a text. "Big plans today?" I ask casually, making sure my tone is light. She glances up, her eyes meeting mine. "Just the usual," she replies, smiling. "Errands, some shopping, and then a meeting with the event planner for Emily's birthday party." I nod, my hands moving rhythmically through Sophie's hair. "Sounds fun," I say, but my stomach clenches. The lies are so smooth, so practiced. It's infuriating. Once the girls are off to school, Clara kisses me on the cheek, her lips brushing my skin like a ghost. "See you tonight," she says, her eyes warm. "Yeah," I murmur, watching her leave. The second the door closes, I'm on my feet. I check the live GPS feed, confirming her car's location. As expected, she's headed straight for Mark's office, not the event planner. My jaw tightens. I remind myself to be patient. Clara's day of reckoning is coming, and I'll be ready. Mid-morning, my phone rings. It's my best friend Liam, someone who's known Clara and me since college. His voice is tense when I answer. Dan, he says, can we meet for lunch? I need to talk to you. My stomach sinks. Liam is usually laid back, the kind of guy who never takes life too seriously. If he's this serious, something's wrong. Yeah, sure, I reply, grabbing my keys. We agree to meet at a small diner on the edge of town, a place where we used to hang out before marriage and kids turned our lives upside down. When I walk in, Liam's already at a booth, nursing a coffee. He looks up as I approach, his expression tight with worry. What's going on? I ask, sliding into the seat across from him. He hesitates, running a hand through his hair. Man, I don't know how to say this, he begins. But you deserve to know. He takes a breath, then leans in, lowering his voice. It's about Clara. I've seen things, heard things. My heart thuds painfully in my chest, but I force myself to stay composed. Go on, I say, my voice flat. Liam swallows hard. A few weeks ago, I was out with some clients, and I saw Clara at that new lounge downtown. She was with this guy, and it didn't look innocent. They were well close. Too close. I nod, feeling the rage simmer again. Did you say anything to her? I ask. No, he says quickly, his eyes filled with guilt. I didn't want to make assumptions, but, Dan, it didn't sit right with me. And then, last weekend, one of my buddies mentioned seeing her again, with the same guy. I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. I take a deep breath, willing myself not to explode. Thanks for telling me. I manage. I already know, but it means a lot that you came forward. Liam looks stunned. You know? I nod. Yeah, it's bad, Liam. Worse than you think. I lean in, telling him just enough about my plans, about the evidence I'm collecting. He listens, his jaw tightening with anger on my behalf. Just promise me one thing, he says when I finish. Don't let her destroy you. You deserve better. I meet his gaze, feeling the weight of our friendship, the loyalty he's always shown me. I won't, I promise, my voice firm. I'm going to make sure she regrets this. After my conversation with Liam, my resolve hardens. Clara thinks she's invincible, weaving her web of lies with a confidence that comes from underestimating me. But she's about to learn how wrong she is. When I get back home, the quiet of the house feels suffocating. I sit at the kitchen table, scrolling through more evidence Carter has helped me collect. The texts, the images, the phone call recordings, they're all there, painting a picture of a betrayal so deep it threatens to choke me. I force myself to take steady breaths, reminding myself to stay focused. I can't let Clara break me, not when so much is at stake. Later that evening, Clara returns home, carrying shopping bags. She drops them in the entryway and calls out, Dan, can you help me with these? I take a moment to compose myself before walking over, forcing a smile. Sure, I say, grabbing the bags from her hands. The effort it takes to pretend everything is fine is exhausting, but I've mastered the art of hiding my emotions. As we unpack the groceries, she chatters on about her day, weaving another tapestry of lies. I nod along, pretending to listen, but my mind is elsewhere, already envisioning the moment I confront her. It will be brutal, but necessary. Clara finishes putting away the last of the groceries, then pauses, studying me. You seem distracted, she says, her voice gentle. Is everything okay? I fight the urge to flinch. The gall she has to pretend she cares is astounding. Yeah, just work stuff, I say, keeping my tone casual. Nothing to worry about. She tilts her head, concern etched on her face. You've been working so hard. Maybe we should plan a weekend getaway soon, just the two of us. The suggestion makes me want to laugh bitterly. A weekend getaway, after everything she's done? But I keep my composure, nodding. Maybe, I reply, my voice neutral. Let's see how things go. Satisfied, she kisses my cheek and leaves to check on the girls. As soon as she's gone, I let out a shaky breath. The calm mask I've been wearing all day cracks, and for a moment, I feel the weight of it all crashing down. My hands tremble, and I grip the edge of the counter, willing myself to stay strong. Just then, my phone buzzes. It's a message from Carter. Got the financials you asked for. Call me when you're ready. I swallow hard. The final piece of the puzzle is in place. It's almost time to execute my plan. That night, after everyone's asleep, I call Carter. He answers on the first ring, his voice calm and collected. You ready to hear this? He asks. Yeah, I say, sitting in my darkened office, the glow of the computer screen the only light in the room. Carter walks me through the financial analysis he's compiled. Clara has been siphoning money from our joint accounts into a separate one under her name. She's spent thousands on vacations, gifts, and dinners with Mark. The betrayal is even more twisted than I imagined. She's been funneling money for months, Carter says, and she's been strategic about it, thinking she could hide it from you. I grit my teeth. But she didn't. No, she didn't, Carter agrees. We've got everything we need, Dan. You can move forward whenever you're ready. I thank him and hang up, staring at the folder of evidence on my computer. Every file, every piece of proof, represents the end of the life I thought I knew. I close my eyes, taking a moment to acknowledge the pain. It's searing, but I know I can't let it control me. The next day, I make arrangements to meet with my daughter's school counselor. If this blows up, they need to have support. The thought of how this will affect Emily and Sophie tears me apart, but I know staying silent won't help them in the long run. Before I leave for the meeting, Clara comes down the stairs, dressed for one of her so-called meetings. She stops when she sees me by the door, keys in hand. Where are you off to? She asks, her voice casual. I smile, my heart pounding. Just running some errands, I say smoothly. She gives me a long look, but then shrugs. All right, drive safe. As she leaves, I watch her walk away, knowing that her little world is about to come crashing down. And I'm going to be the one to pull the rug out from under her. Saturday morning arrives, and the house feels like a pressure cooker about to explode. The girls are in the kitchen, happily eating the pancakes Clara made, unaware of the chaos brewing beneath the surface. I watch them, my heart aching for the innocence I'm about to shatter. The guilt is almost unbearable, but I remind myself that this isn't my fault. I didn't ask for this betrayal. I didn't ask for my world to come crashing down. After breakfast, Clara announces that she has plans to meet with a friend, some vague excuse about discussing decorations for Emily's birthday. The lie is so casual, so smooth, that I almost have to admire how good she is at it. But today, I'm ready. I grab my jacket and keys, pretending I have errands of my own. Clara barely gives me a second glance as she leaves, and I wait a few minutes before following her. My heart pounds in my chest as I drive, trailing her at a safe distance. The GPS tracker I've been relying on shows her turning toward a neighborhood I know all too well, Mark's. Parking a few houses down, I watch as she pulls into his driveway. She doesn't even hesitate, stepping out of her car with that bright smile, one I haven't seen directed at me in far too long. Mark opens the door, and they embrace, a familiar warmth passing between them. My vision blurs with anger, but I force myself to stay still, my fingers clenched around my phone. Carefully, I take out the device and start recording. Every movement, every smile, every intimate gesture they share is captured. This isn't just for me. It's for my girls, for the fight ahead. Once I have enough footage, I lower the phone and let out a shaky breath. Part of me wants to storm in and confront them, to scream and rage and demand answers. But that isn't the way to win this. I have to be smarter, more calculated. Clara's downfall will be on my terms, not hers. I sit in the car for a moment, breathing deeply, calming the fire raging inside me. The next steps are clear. With everything I've gathered, I'm ready for the confrontation that will end this twisted game she's been playing. Driving home, I feel both powerful and broken. I have everything I need to expose the truth, but the reality of what comes next is heavy. My daughters, my family, my whole life. All of it is about to change forever. But I won't let Clara destroy me. I've come too far to crumble now. When I get back home, the house is quieter than usual. The girls are upstairs, probably playing or watching something on their tablets. I sit at the kitchen table, my hands still trembling from the rush of adrenaline. It's almost time to bring everything out into the open, but the weight of what's coming threatens to crush me. I pour myself a glass of water, trying to steady my nerves. My phone buzzes with a text from Liam. How's it going? The support from my best friend is a lifeline, and I shoot him a quick reply. Almost ready. Thanks for being there. Liam's reply is instant. Always, brother. Let me know if you need backup. I almost smile at that. Having someone in my corner makes the burden feel a little lighter. As I contemplate my next move, Emily comes downstairs, her hair in a messy bun and a smile on her face. Hey, Dad, she says. Can you help me with my science project? I nod, grateful for the distraction. Of course, I reply, setting down the glass of water and following her to the dining room, where she spread out papers and supplies. Helping her with her project gives me a moment of normalcy, a brief reprieve from the storm I'm about to unleash. We laugh as we try to figure out how to make her model volcano work, and for a moment, everything feels okay. But it isn't. The darkness looms, and I can't ignore it for long. As we finish up, Sophie comes down too, joining in on the fun. The three of us share a moment of laughter, and it nearly brings me to tears. My daughters are my world, and they deserve to know the truth. They deserve better than a home built on lies. When Clara finally comes home, the shift in the air is immediate. She greets the girls with hugs, then looks over at me, a polite smile on her face. How was your day? She asks, her tone casual. I return the smile, masking the anger boiling just beneath the surface. Pretty good, I say. Spent some quality time with the girls. She nods, then excuses herself to go upstairs and change. As she walks away, I watch her, feeling the anticipation coil tighter inside me. The moment of truth is coming, and she has no idea. I take a deep breath, knowing that tonight, the mask comes off. The evening air feels heavy, thick with unspoken truths and hidden agendas. Clara moves around the house with practiced grace, pretending nothing is wrong, while I rehearse my next steps in my mind. I've been waiting for this moment, and now that it's here, I feel the weight of it crushing me. But I can't falter now. After dinner, as we're cleaning up, Clara hums softly to herself, stacking plates and rinsing them in the sink. The sound is almost soothing, but it also fuels my anger, a reminder of her audacity to act like everything is fine. Hey, Clara, I say, my voice calm but carrying an edge. Can we talk for a minute? She looks up, a hint of surprise flashing in her eyes. Sure, she says, drying her hands on a kitchen towel. What's up? I nod toward the living room. Let's sit down. The girls have retreated upstairs, so it's just the two of us now. Clara follows me, her expression curious but not yet concerned. We sit across from each other, and I take a moment to study her face, trying to find any trace of the woman I once loved. But all I see now is a stranger. Is everything okay? She asks, her voice soft, almost concerned. I lean forward, my elbows on my knees, and take a deep breath. No, Clara, I say quietly. Everything is not okay. Her eyes narrow slightly, confusion mingling with the first hints of anxiety. What do you mean? I pull out my phone, opening the folder where I've saved all the evidence. The texts, the photos, the GPS logs, and of course, the video I recorded of her and Mark earlier today. I don't say anything at first. Instead, I hold the phone out to her, my hands steady despite the storm raging inside me. She hesitates, a flicker of fear passing over her face as she takes the phone. Her hands shake as she starts to scroll, her expression shifting from confusion to horror and then to sheer disbelief. Dan, she whispers, her voice cracking. This isn't what it looks like. I raise an eyebrow, my lips curling into a bitter smile. It's exactly what it looks like, Clara. I've known for a while now. The lies, the secrets, the betrayal. You thought you could hide it forever, didn't you? Her face pales, and she sets the phone down, her eyes wide with panic. Please, let me explain. Explain? I interrupt, my voice rising. Explain what, exactly? That you've been sneaking around with another man while our daughters think we have a happy family? That you've been spending our money on your little escapades, pretending everything is fine? Tears well up in her eyes, and for a moment, I feel the slightest pang of guilt, but I shove it aside, remembering every lie she told, every smile she gave him that should have been mine. Dan, I'm sorry, she says, her voice breaking. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I never meant to hurt you. I stand up, unable to sit still any longer. Well, you did, I snap. You destroyed everything we built. Our marriage, our trust gone. And you think a simple sorry is going to fix that? Her tears spill over, and she buries her face in her hands, sobbing. But I don't feel pity. Not anymore. The anger is too deep, too consuming. I take a step back, crossing my arms. I have all the evidence I need, I say, my voice cold. We're going to talk about how this ends, Clara. And trust me, it won't be on your terms. Her sobs echo in the quiet house, but I feel nothing but the steady, icy resolve I've carried for weeks. The truth is out now, and there's no turning back. Clara's sobs fill the room, but the sound barely registers in my ears. I feel numb, detached, as if I'm observing everything from outside my own body. The woman in front of me isn't the wife I thought I knew. She's a stranger whose choices have ripped our family apart. She looks up at me, her eyes red and swollen. Please, Dan, she begs, her voice trembling. Let's talk about this. We can work it out. We have to, for the girls. I clench my jaw, my hands forming fists at my sides. Don't you dare bring them into this, I snap. You think this is about you and me? You think I haven't thought about what this will do to them? I shake my head, disgusted. Everything I'm doing is to protect them from this mess you created. She flinches at my words, but I don't soften. There's too much at stake. Dan, please, she tries again, her voice desperate. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but I love you. I love our family. We can fix this. I laugh bitterly, the sound harsh and foreign in my ears. Love? I echo. You don't destroy someone you love. You don't lie, cheat, and sneak around if you care about your family. No, Clara. This isn't something we can just fix. Her shoulders slump, and she wipes at her tears, her hands trembling. What do you want from me? She whispers. What do you want me to do? I take a deep breath, steadying myself. I want you to accept that this is over. I've already spoken to a lawyer. We'll figure out custody arrangements for the girls, but you and I are done. Her eyes widen, and she shakes her head, panic flaring again. No, she says, her voice cracking. You can't do this. You can't just end it like that. We have to at least try to fix things. I stare at her, feeling the weight of every broken promise, every whispered lie she told while our marriage crumbled beneath us. You don't get to decide what happens next, I say, my voice firm. You lost that right when you betrayed me. She opens her mouth to argue, but I hold up a hand, stopping her. I've thought about this for weeks, Clara. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence is undeniable. You did this. You chose this. Her sobs intensify, and she collapses onto the couch, her body racked with guilt and grief. But I can't let myself feel sorry for her. I have to be strong, not just for myself, but for our daughters. They deserve better. I'll be talking to the girls tomorrow, I say, my voice heavy. They need to hear the truth, or at least a version of it that won't break them. But they need to know things are changing. Clara's head snaps up, her face filled with horror. No, she chokes out. Don't tell them. Please, Dan, they're too young. They won't understand. I feel my heart twist painfully, but I refuse to let her manipulate me. They deserve to know why their world is about to change, I reply. I'm not going to lie to them, like you've lied to me. Her cries echo in the room, a haunting sound that will probably stay with me forever. But I turn away, my decision made. I've given enough, sacrificed enough, and it's time to fight for what's left. The next morning, the weight of what I have to do feels heavier than ever. I wake up early, long before the girls are out of bed, and sit at the kitchen table, staring at a cup of coffee that's long gone cold. My mind races, replaying everything over and over, but I know there's no perfect way to do this. There's no version of this conversation that doesn't leave my daughters hurt and confused. Clara comes downstairs, her face pale and drawn, her eyes puffy from crying. She stands in the doorway, watching me, and for a moment, I wonder if she's going to try to talk me out of it again. But she doesn't. She just stands there, silent, broken. "We'll do it together," she finally says, her voice hoarse. "For the girls." I don't reply. Part of me wants to shut her out completely, but she's still their mother. No matter how angry I am, I can't take that away from her. An hour later, Emily and Sophie come downstairs, still groggy from sleep. They're in their pajamas, their hair messy, and they both smile when they see us sitting at the table together. It feels like a punch to the gut, knowing that what I'm about to say will shatter their morning innocence. "Hey, girls," I say softly, "can you come sit with us? We need to talk." They exchange a look, their smiles fading. Emily, always the more intuitive of the two, takes Sophie's hand and leads her to the table. They sit across from us, their eyes wide with curiosity and concern. "What's wrong?" Emily asks, her voice small. I take a deep breath, my chest tight. "Things are going to be different." I start, my voice cracking. "Your mom and we're going to live separately for a while." Sophie's eyes well up immediately, and she clings to Emily, her lower lip trembling. "What do you mean?" she whispers. I swallow hard, forcing myself to keep going. "We both love you very much," I say, looking at both of them, willing them to understand. "But your mom and I haven't been getting along, and we think it's best if we take some time apart." Emily's face hardens, and she looks at Clara, suspicion flickering in her eyes. "Why?" she demands. "What happened?" Clara starts to speak, but her voice breaks, and I see her struggle to find the right words. She looks at me, desperate, and I realize I have to step in. "It's complicated," I say, trying to keep my voice steady, "but it has nothing to do with you. This isn't your fault, and nothing you did caused this. We both love you more than anything, and that will never change." Sophie bursts into tears, and Emily's face crumples, but she fights to hold it together. "Is it forever?" she asks, her voice shaking. My heart feels like it's shattering into a million pieces. "I don't know," I admit, my throat tight. "We're going to figure things out one step at a time." The girls cling to each other, sobbing, and I feel a tear slip down my own cheek. Clara reaches for them, but Emily pulls away, anger blazing in her young eyes. "You're lying," she accuses. "Something happened. You're not telling us everything." Clara recoils, and I watch as the guilt consumes her. I want to protect the girls from the whole truth, to shield them from the ugliness of betrayal, but I also can't deny Emily's instincts. She knows something is horribly wrong. I don't have all the answers. I don't know how we'll heal from this, or if we ever will. But as I sit there, my daughter's cries echoing in the room, I know one thing for sure. This pain, this heartbreak, is something I'll carry with me forever. The rest of the day feels like a slow-motion nightmare. The girls retreat to their rooms, needing space to process what they've just learned. Clara tries to follow them, her guilt manifesting as an overwhelming desire to comfort, but Emily slams her door shut in her face, the sound echoing through the house. I watch as Clara crumples, her shoulders sagging under the weight of our daughter's rejection. "Dan," she whispers, turning to me. Her eyes are swollen, her face a mask of regret. "What have we done?" I meet her gaze, feeling the anger flare up again, but I push it down. There's no point in screaming or blaming each other now. We're both standing in the ruins, and shouting won't rebuild anything. "We didn't do this," I say, my voice cold. "You did." She flinches, but I turn away before I can see the hurt on her face. I don't have the energy to care about her feelings anymore. My focus is on Emily and Sophie, on trying to salvage whatever stability I can for them. I head upstairs, pausing outside Emily's door. I hear her quiet sobs, and it tears me apart. "Emily?" I call softly, knocking on the door. "Can I come in?" There's a pause, and then the door opens a crack. Emily stands there, her eyes red and puffy, her mouth set in a thin, angry line. "What do you want?" She snaps, her voice cracking. I crouch down to her level, trying to keep my voice gentle. "I'm here to talk if you want," I say, "or to just be with you. Whatever you need." Her eyes well up with fresh tears, and she bites her lip. You're lying to us, she whispers. Something happened, and you're not telling us. I sigh, my heart heavy. I know it feels that way, I admit. And you're right, there's more to this than I can explain right now. But I promise you, I'm doing everything I can to make sure you and Sophie are okay. Emily's chin trembles, and she throws herself into my arms, clinging to me like she's afraid I'll disappear. I hold her close, my own tears falling as I whisper reassurances I'm not sure I believe. I love you, I say over and over, as if repeating it can fix everything. After a while, Sophie peeks out of her room, her stuffed bunny clutched to her chest. Her eyes are wide and fearful, and she shuffles over to join the embrace. Daddy, she whispers, I don't want you to leave. I squeeze both of them tighter, my voice breaking. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. I'll always be here for you, no matter what. Clara stands at the end of the hall, watching us with tears streaming down her face. But she doesn't approach, doesn't try to insert herself into the moment. She knows her presence is no longer comforting, and the realization seems to devastate her. For a while, the three of us just sit there in the hallway, holding each other, clinging to what remains of our broken family. The future is uncertain, and the pain is suffocating. But in this moment, I feel a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we'll find a way through this darkness. The following days are a blur of emotional exhaustion. Clara and I operate like ghosts in the same house, barely speaking to each other except when necessary for the girls. Emily remains distant, her eyes cold whenever she glances at her mother. Sophie clings to me at every opportunity, her small hands never far from mine, as if she's afraid I'll vanish too. It's during one of those heavy evenings, when I'm trying to get the girls settled into a bedtime routine, that the doorbell rings. The sound startles all of us, cutting through the thick tension hanging in the air. I exchange a wary glance with Clara, who's sitting at the kitchen table, her hands folded together in a futile attempt to appear calm. I'll get it, I say, my voice tired. I walk to the door and open it to find someone I wasn't expecting, Mark. The very man whose presence in our lives has destroyed everything. He stands there, looking surprisingly smug for someone who's at the center of our chaos. His eyes are piercing, his posture arrogant. Dan, he greets, his voice smooth, as if we're old friends. Every muscle in my body tenses, and I grip the door, fighting the urge to slam it in his face. What the hell are you doing here? I demand, keeping my voice low but firm. Mark raises an eyebrow, glancing briefly over my shoulder. I think we should talk, he says, his tone infuriatingly calm. Man to man. I grit my teeth, my blood boiling. The nerve of him, showing up here after everything he's done. We have nothing to talk about, I snap. Get off my property. Clara appears behind me, her face paling when she sees Mark standing there. She looks like she's been punched, and her voice shakes. Mark, you shouldn't be here, she says, barely above a whisper. He gives her a condescending smile. Relax, Clara, he says. I'm just here to make sure everything's settled. Settled. The word sends a fresh wave of anger through me. I step forward, my body blocking the doorway, my fists clenching at my sides. You're not welcome here, I growl. If you think you can just waltz in and make things right, you're delusional. Mark's smirk never wavers. I'm not here to make things right, he says. Just to make sure Clara's okay. He pauses, his eyes flicking between us. But from the looks of it, I'd say things are already falling apart, wouldn't you? I feel a surge of rage, and it takes every ounce of restraint not to take a swing at him. I can't afford to lose control, not with the girls just a few rooms away. Instead, I take a deep breath and step back, my voice cold. If you don't leave right now, I'll call the police. Mark's smile fades, and for the first time, I see a flicker of uncertainty. He seems to weigh his options, then finally nods. Fine, he says, backing away. But this isn't over. He turns and walks away, and I slam the door shut, my hands trembling with fury. Clara is standing there, her face ashen, her body tense. Why would he come here? She whispers, more to herself than to me. I don't answer. I can't. The storm of emotion swirling inside me is too powerful, too overwhelming. All I know is that Mark's presence has only made things worse, and I need to find a way to protect my family from this nightmare. The door slamming echoes through the house, and the silence that follows feels suffocating. Clara stands frozen in the entryway, her eyes wide and filled with fear. I can see that Mark's sudden appearance has shaken her, but any pity I might have felt is buried beneath layers of anger and betrayal. "Are you serious, Clara?" I say, my voice low and cold. "He shows up at our home, and you look like you're about to fall apart. What the hell is going on between you two?" She opens her mouth, then closes it again, struggling for words. Finally, she takes a shaky breath. "I didn't ask him to come here," she says, her voice trembling. "I don't know why he showed up." I stare at her, my patience unraveling. "You don't know?" I echo, my voice rising. "You've dragged this man into our lives, and now he thinks he has the right to show up uninvited? How long are you going to keep lying to me?" Tears spill down her cheeks, but I'm beyond caring. I can't be the one to console her anymore. She made this bed, and now she has to lie in it. Just then, Emily appears at the top of the stairs, her face pale and worried. "Dad," she calls, her voice small. "What's going on?" I take a deep breath, trying to soften my expression. "It's nothing, sweetheart," I say, forcing a smile. "Just a grown-up problem. Go back to your room, okay?" She hesitates, her eyes darting between me and Clara, and I can see the confusion and fear in her young eyes. It kills me to know that she's being dragged into this mess, but I don't have a choice. "Okay," Emily whispers, disappearing back into the hallway. Once she's gone, I turn back to Clara, my voice low and venomous. "This has to end, Clara. All of it. I won't let this man or your lies destroy what's left of our family." She wipes at her tears, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "I know," she whispers. "I never wanted any of this to happen." I shake my head, the bitterness threatening to choke me. "You may not have wanted it, but you made it happen," I say. "And now we have to deal with the fallout." We stand there in the entryway, the distance between us feeling insurmountable. The weight of everything that's happened presses down on me, and I realize just how broken we are. There's no coming back from this, no way to rebuild what's been lost. "I'm done," I finally say, my voice breaking. "I'm done fighting for something that doesn't exist anymore." Clara's face crumples, but I turn away before I can see her break. I walk upstairs, my heart heavy, and find Emily and Sophie sitting on Emily's bed, holding each other for comfort. They look up at me, their eyes wide with worry, and I feel my heart shatter all over again. I sit down beside them, wrapping my arms around both of them. "I'm here," I whisper, my voice thick with emotion. "I'll always be here, no matter what." Sophie clings to me, her small body trembling, and Emily buries her face in my shoulder. In that moment, I realize that no matter how much has been destroyed, my love for them is the only thing that matters. I'll fight for them, protect them, and make sure they know that no matter how broken our family is, they'll always have me. The house feels like a war zone for the next few days. Clara and I barely speak, and when we do, it's short, tense exchanges about the girls or practical matters. Emily remains distant, spending most of her time in her room or at friends' houses, while Sophie has become quieter, her usual giggles replaced with worried glances and whispered questions. I know this can't continue. The damage is already done, but if we don't find a way to move forward, whatever that means, the girls will suffer even more. One evening, after tucking Sophie into bed and reassuring her that everything will be okay, I find myself sitting at the dining room table, staring at a stack of paperwork. Divorce papers, financial documents, and custody plans, all reminders of the path I never wanted to take but now have no choice but to walk. Clara enters the room, her face lined with exhaustion. She sits across from me, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. For a moment, we just look at each other, the silence between us heavy with everything left unsaid. "We need to talk about what happens next," I say, breaking the silence. My voice is calm but firm, leaving no room for argument. She nods, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I know," she whispers. "I've been thinking about it too. We discuss the logistics, who will stay in the house, where the girls will live, how we'll handle co-parenting. It's clinical and heartbreaking, laying out the future of a family that's already splintered. But for the first time in weeks, we're having an honest conversation, and despite everything, there's a sense of relief in that. "I'll move out," Clara says, her voice cracking. "I think it's best for the girls to stay here, where they're comfortable." I nod, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. "That's probably the right call," I agree. "I want them to have as much stability as possible." She wipes at her tears, looking away. "I don't deserve this house," she says, her voice barely a whisper, "or the life we built here." I don't respond to that. There's no point in rehashing the past. We both know what's been lost, and there's no undoing the damage. As we finalize the details, I feel a strange sense of closure settling over me. This is the end of one chapter, but it's also the beginning of something new. I have to focus on rebuilding, on giving my daughters a sense of safety and love even if it's in a fractured family. After Clara leaves the table, I sit there for a long time, staring at the papers in front of me. I feel the weight of everything pressing down on me, but also a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this is the first step toward healing. A week later, the house feels different, quieter, emptier, but somehow more peaceful. Clara has moved out, taking only the essentials and leaving behind the ghost of our marriage. The girls are adjusting, though it's not without pain. Emily still carries an edge of mistrust, and Sophie still clings to me when she feels unsure, but we're finding our way through it, one day at a time. This morning, I'm making pancakes for breakfast, trying to bring back some sense of normalcy. The smell of batter sizzling on the griddle fills the kitchen, and for the first time in weeks, I hear Sophie giggle. It's a small sound, but it lights up something inside me. "Dad," she says, her voice full of wonder, "you made a heart-shaped pancake." I smile, surprised that one of the pancakes actually turned out looking somewhat heart-like. "See?" I say, flipping it onto her plate. "Told you I'm a pancake artist." Emily comes downstairs next, her hair a mess and her eyes still sleepy. She slides into a chair and watches as I serve her a stack of pancakes, a tentative smile breaking across her face. "Thanks, Dad," she says quietly. We eat breakfast together, and for the first time in what feels like forever, it feels almost normal. We talk about Sophie's art project, Emily's plans to join a new club at school, and I find myself laughing at their stories, my heart feeling a little less heavy. Later that afternoon, I take the girls to the park. The sun is shining, and the air is crisp, carrying the scent of autumn leaves. Emily runs ahead to join her friends, her laughter echoing across the playground. Sophie stays close, her small hand in mine, and I feel a surge of gratitude that she trusts me to keep her safe. Sitting on a bench, watching them play, I feel the first real sense of hope I've felt in a long time. This isn't the life I imagined, and it's not the future I planned, but we're still here. We're still a family, even if it looks different now. Liam shows up, waving as he approaches. He's been a constant support through all of this, and I'm grateful to have him in my corner. He sits down beside me, watching the girls. "They look happy," he says, his voice warm. I nod, a small smile pulling at my lips. "Yeah," I reply. "They're resilient. Stronger than I thought." Liam claps a hand on my shoulder. "You're doing good, man. Don't forget that." I let his words sink in, and for the first time, I believe them. I'm not perfect, and I still have so much to figure out, but I'm trying. And right now, that's enough. As the sun begins to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I call the girls over. We walk home together, hand in hand, and I feel a small but powerful sense of peace. This is the beginning of something new. It won't be easy, and it won't be perfect, but it's ours. And that's enough. Thank you for sticking with this story all the way to the end. Have you ever experienced something that changed your life forever? Feel free to share your thoughts or experiences below. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that explore the depths of the human heart.